Well, here we are. It's another Saturday morning. You know what that means. It's time for the RE/MAX Magnolia show with Michelle Cummins and myself, Curtis Pope. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Curtis. Howdy.
Howdy. That's a little subdued for you, actually. Kind of quiet and pulled back.
Well, you know what? It's that time of year where things get a little quieter. At least I've been getting a lot of calls lately from realtors saying, are you experiencing the same thing I am? And so it's been a thing this last week that the market's just slowing down a little bit, it seems like. How about you, Rebecca?
I'm actually getting busier.
There you go.
I'm always opposite. Whatever the market's doing, guaranteed I'll be doing the opposite.
And that is what we want. We want to get to know more about you. So,
so you kind of gave the introduction last week. You should give another one of your, Michelle Cummins introductions.
I like keeping things simple. And
don't lie. I've been working with you long enough to know better than that.
I only have 22 minutes. It's got to keep everything simple. So let's get to know you is the show.
Awesome.
First segment. And the second segment is really bugging out with you. That's going to be really fun.
Okay, so remind our listeners, though, that what Rebecca's role is within RE/MAX Magnolia.
Yes, Rebecca is the broker manager, and she also does sales. She's been doing residential sales for 20 years. And Rebecca, that is part of what I want to say is, what were you doing before real estate?
That is a popular question because I used to be an entomologist. So for a very long time, I studied insects, and then I worked in the field of biocontrol, research and development.
Okay, so that is a whole, I've had conversations with you, and it intrigues me. Where are some of the places that you worked and you lived doing this?
In BC on the island, where people don't realize we have the largest insectary in Canada, is on Vancouver Island. So I worked there for several years as the production manager, where we grow beneficial bugs that will eat the pest bugs. So you have to grow the bad bugs to grow the good bugs to go after the bad bugs.
Please tell me you didn't do this in Montana.
Never. I'd like to go to Montana. That would be fun.
Good to know. Montana is beautiful. I lived there a few years. Okay, where else did you live?
Then I moved to Belgium, and I worked for a biocontrol company in a little town in Belgium called Heerselt as their research and development for new biocontrol agents.
Wow. Okay. What did you think you were going to do when you were little, like when you grew up? Like, what did you think, oh, that's what I want to do or want to be, or what did you think?
I always just used to tell people I wanted to be a university student scientist, which I did.
You fulfilled your dream.
I did, yes. But I didn't know anything other than scientist when I was young. That was the job, scientist. I knew I was a science nerd my whole life.
Where were you born?
In Ontario, yeah. So I grew up in Ontario, went to University of Ontario, and then when I graduated, the only place that I could get hired with a master's in science in entomology was out on Vancouver Island. So then I moved to Vancouver Island, and that's when I started at the insectary there, and then became their production manager.
So you have a lot to offer. A lot of people are moving to the island from our area. So you have you have that experience. You can share.
I loved living on the island. It's a great place to live. It can be challenging getting off the rock, as they say, but it's a lot more affordable than here. And if people are looking for a quieter lifestyle, they're heading west. Or east, but yeah.
There's only a couple ways to go from the island, unless you're flying. Well, okay. So what got you into real estate? Because this is a question that intrigues me.
I met a friend of mine, and he was a realtor, and he thought that I would be a good agent. And so I called a childhood friend's mother, who was the only realtor that I knew from my past, and she verified that yes, out of all of my friends' friends, that I would be a good realtor. So I signed up and took the course, and the rest is history.
So there was aspects of your personality. You're very social. You're very easy to talk to. You're a good listener. You do explain things very well. I mean, from what I know of you, I can see why he thought you would be a good realtor. A good judge of character, things like that.
Problem solving.
Oh, huge, huh?
Yeah, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Well, lots of problem solving in real estate, and lots of thinking outside the box. Trying to come at things from a different angle, solve the problem.
What is one of the aspects that you, it doesn't have to be one, but what's an aspect of real estate that you actually quite love about being a realtor?
I like the chatting with people. When I was a scientist, there was not a lot of chatting because everything was so secret. Research and development is a very quiet field. Nobody talks about what you do because everybody's trying to, you have to make sure that you guard information, where in real estate, we do nothing but talk about the information. So that's kind of an opposite that I quite enjoy. And just every day is different. You never have the same thing twice. Then every deal is different. Every client is different. So you definitely don't get bored.
I always say being a realtor is like a kindred surprise every day.
Yeah.
Every transaction, every client, every situation.
It totally is.
It's a surprise. It's always different. It can be.
You don't know what you're going to do.
Okay, so what advice or tip would you give either a first-time buyer or somebody moving up in the market or empty nester? What advice would you give somebody in today's kind of balanced market? I know in the valley here we're a bit more balanced. The more east you go, a bit more of it going into a buyer's market. But maybe compared to a seller's market and a buyer's market, say in a balanced market, what kind of tip would you give?
Well, once you've found the realtor that you love, me, then, do your homework, do your research, check out the property. You've got time in this market. You don't have to buy things quickly. So you can do all your due diligence and make sure that the property, whether you're buying or selling, is the right thing for you to do at that time in your life.
Yeah, that's very good advice, because sometimes people feel like they have to rush, and we've had such a busy market for a while now, and just listening to your realtor's advice for the time that they're in, and believing in trusting in that, but yeah, doing all your due diligence. So what do you think makes you so successful? Like if realtors are listening and they're like, what makes Rebecca Rea so successful in her real estate career? What would you say?
Good question. I would say I'm stubborn, which sometimes is a good thing, but sometimes it's a bad thing. And I'm a bit like a pit bull with a bone. I won't let things go. I will keep at it until we get the success we want.
That's a great trait. Love that.
And a bad one.
Everything has its, tipping point. So, yeah, but following up, like you follow up, you go the extra mile, and you get things done. So that's...
Get her done.
Yeah. So what are some top priorities in your life? Are things that you love, hobbies, or just anything? What is special or really important to Rebecca?
Well, I do a lot of fostering for animals, cats and dogs. So over the last few years, I've had about 5 or 6 litters of puppies that have been born at my place and then gone off to new homes. We did a kitten pull a few years ago where we brought about 50 kittens into BC that were going to be euthanized, so we saved them. So I'm a big animal advocate, and I'm a huge paddleboarder. So if the weather is nice and the water is calm, I will be on the water with my phone, doing business on my paddleboard for a little bit of the time if I can.
Everyone needs something like that.
Yes, it's definitely my happy place.
You introduced that to me this year, actually.
We had a lot of fun. That was at Kentucky Lynn Lake. That was a great...
Beautiful lake.
Beautiful
oh, my
lake.
Gosh.
Yeah, you think you're in the Caribbean, it's so clear.
Oh, so I couldn't believe it when she showed me the photos. I said, that's not real, that's Photoshop. She goes, no, it's real. I said, well, I'll have to see it to believe it. And then I did.
I paddleboarded there myself. I know, and it's, as a fisherman, you see the fish going... I can see a trout that's like a good 2.5 feet long, but I don't have my fishing rod with me, and it looks closer than it is too, because it's so clear, right?
And you can camp right there.
Yeah,
it's amazing, which I have to do.
We have to do one of our staff meetings, a weekend retreat there.
We talked about that while we were there.
That would be fun.
Oh, so fun. We're doing it. We're just going to have to make it happen. In life, you have to just make things happen.
Yeah.
You got to put block time in your calendar. You got to time block.
I understand there's a little lake towards Sasquatch that actually is super clear too for paddleboarding.
Oh yes,
I
can't remember what it's called, but it's not a big lake, but there's a little very, very clear lake towards Sasquatch Resort.
And you know what? I just heard about this from somebody else a few weeks ago, and I forget what lake it was, but she's Googling it as we're interviewing her right
Yes.
now.
Research and development.
My wife has a paddleboard, so I was doing a bunch of research in the summer, and there was one popped up at favorite spots, and one of them was this. It doesn't have like a good, great beachy area either. It's a little, not super challenging. You have to do a little bit of work to get into it, even though it's right off the road. But it's apparently super clear. And
Would that be Hicks Lake or Deer Lake?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Well, that's even closer. I mean,
Yeah.
Kentucky Lake is only about an hour and a half from us, so this one's even closer. But something else I know that you love is fine, unique character jewelry.
Jewelry, yes. I spend quite a bit of money on jewelry. I like neat, interesting pieces that I'm usually sporting different things.
And you
depending
have
on what I'm
somebody
wearing.
who hand makes them? Is
Yeah,
that right?
I've got a gal on the island that's her business. Shout out to Double Dragon Jewelry because she's my gal, and she imports jewelry from different suppliers and then sells it online. It's an online business at really reasonable rates, and you can get really funky, unique pieces.
They're gorgeous. I'm always admiring your jewelry. I'm not a big jewelry person, but I love seeing the jewelry, and I kind of sometimes wish I was. But what I said earlier was simple. But okay, another thing though that you love, that I actually got a pair myself. Very unique shoes. Yes. John Fluvogs. You love them.
I'm a bit of a Fluvog nut.
A bit? How many do you own?
I think I have about 30 pairs.
She has 30 pairs, folks, of John Fluvogs. Amazing.
They're kind of my thing. They're my signature shoes.
Always wearing nice shoes, unique shoes as well as your jewelry. I love it. Those are top two things, yes. And purple, your color.
Yeah, purple's my color. Yeah, very consistent.
Thank you so much. This has been wonderful to get to know you and who Rebecca is. Can't wait for the next segment.
Now you know why you've got all my bad habits for why I have to work hard in real estate to afford my side projects.
You have to give yourself a treat when you have success for a client.
Very important. You've got to reward yourself.
That's
Well, I
right.
think Michelle has 30 pairs of Jimmy Choos, I think.
Yeah, right.
No? Well, I guess we should probably take a break. If people want more information, where can they go, Michelle?
RE/MAX, MagnoliaRealty.com.
We're back with more right after this.